Welcome to FO Talks. With me is Ricardo Vanella, an international relations analyst and strategist with 30 years of experience. He is joining me from Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires. Argentina has just chosen disruption over tradition. President Javier Milei's victory marks a turning point, not just for the country, but perhaps for global politics. Ricardo, the midterm landslide feels like a blockbuster. Can you briefly explain to our global audience what has gone down in Argentina and why is it so significant?
Well, thank you, Rohan, for having me here. A warm greeting to you and to Fair Observer's global audience. Argentina is at an inflection point, not only politically or economically, but also culturally. We are now, what we are witnessing goes beyond our borders. It's a collective search for direction, credibility, and effectiveness in public life. Let's say that from Washington to across Latin America, Argentina is seen as a kind of test case. I think so. An effort to reconcile freedom with stability and national identity with global integration. And that this last concept is very, very important. The vote wasn't, in my opinion, just a reaction. It was a statement, and now the real challenge begins, translating that statement into tangible results with balance, strong institutions, and with an intelligent international posture. In the end, what's at stake is not an ideology. It's the ability to trust ourselves again. And the challenge here, I would say, let me provide you all a shape of the situation.
Yeah, please do.
A bit of context. Argentines are living in a kind of anxious waiting room today, hoping for a reset that will finally let us see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone, in one way or another, expects something to change for the better. And the key question is, where does that improvement come from? And part of the answer lies in putting the country's finances in order. And Milei is doing that, reducing the fiscal deficit. All that stuff, they're doing well. But fiscal discipline alone won't make a nation grow. That's the real challenge. You cannot build prosperity just by cutting costs. You also need to produce, to trade, and to innovate, and real growth. And you know that all over the world is the same rule. And real growth comes from creating genuine income through productive activity and global exchange, not from borrowing. And that's something crucial. And in the end, as I said, this is not about ideology. It's about pragmatism and vision, creating a fertile environment where every level of company, big companies and medium companies and small companies, supporting small and medium companies is not just social policy, it's smart economics.
Right. Well, global media has covered President Javier Milei's win as a win for chainsaw politics. But before we get into those kind of details, I want to ask you, what is the mood like in Argentina right now? Is it optimism? Is it anxiety? Or is it disbelief?
As I said, it's a sort of waiting room, hoping that something better is going to happen. I think that it's a sort of laboratory, I think it's not only the vision that or the feeling Argentinians have. It's a little bit the reason why you are interviewing me as well. I mean, everybody that pays attention to Argentina, those who pays attention to Argentina, are watching this as a lab, a sort of experimentation, whether in Latin America at least, whether we can change, uh, uh, change a story of, I would say, uh, chain failures
Hmm.
without exaggerating. I think
Yeah.
so. So the mood is what's going to happen. Let's hope that something good is going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's very human. That's very human.
Well, that is also something that Millet has promised, and he's promised many other things. Like he wants to dollarize Argentina and abolish the central bank. You understand economics. You've been in this trade for more than 3 decades. What's your perspective? Is it genius or is it chaos?
Well, as you, I mean, going backward to the mood on the ground, you can start from there. It's a mixed of optimism, anxiety, and a bit of disbelief, because, and rationally so. I mean, complex data show inflation slowing significantly. We have 2.1% in September per month, which is scandalous for some countries. But here, when you had 200% per year, 2.1 per month is something huge. Poverty down versus 2024's peak, and a modest rebound in consumer confidence in October. So disposable income is tight and expectations are fragile. I mean, I would, if I were to define the situation, is hope with caution. And people feel the macro turning, but they live in micro every day. So cautious hope, not euphoria. And I mean, everybody is talking about dollarization in Argentina.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. Those who pay attention to Argentina, those who analyze Argentina, which is a medium power G20 member, but plenty of natural resources, which is not equal to rich country, but plenty of natural resources. And I mean, when you say it's a genius or chaos, well, economically talking, dollarize and abolish the central bank. Those were the promises of Javier Milei. It's a trade-off, not a miracle. Evidence from example from Ecuador or El Salvador shows that having the dollar crushes inflation and can reduce volatility for sure, but at the cost of policy tools. And that growth depends on fiscal discipline, but I underscore competitiveness, not on the currency alone, productivity, etc. So, and capacity of country marketing and selling products, which is not so natural in Argentina
Right.
to abroad. We are costumed. We are used to sell huge quantities, huge volumes of commodities. We, but those are, I mean, very limited channels. Even if we sell a lot because we are one of the five biggest food producers in the world, that's important. That's the importance of Argentina in the geopolitical realm. But still, the people, I mean, in the street, the majority don't necessarily take benefit for those exportations, for those exports. So fiscal discipline, being competitive, not only because of the currency. And in Argentina, we have we already had an experience with President Menem in 1996, 95. And it was, we were competitive, but only because of the currency, and then we didn't adjust in time. So in Argentina right now, even Milei's team has parked full dollarization for now. Stabilization is proceeding without it, and that's a good sign. So price stability benefits are real, but institutions and budgets will decide success. And just as a tagline, I would say dollarization can kill inflation, but it can't replace institutions. As in answering your question, genius or chaos? Chaos depends on fiscal math and trust as well.
I think we can just call it chaotically genius for now.
Oh, he's good. I met him. I mean, in certain events,
Right.
very few minutes
Mhm.
before he became president, and all the image you see, with this chainsaw and crying and singing is for the campaign, but he is rather, I would say, and I quite decent in profiling people. Uh, he's very dedicated. He has a very high intellectual level. He studies a lot. He studies a lot. My God, with a huge memory, and he's super dedicated. He's obsessed with work. It's an interesting guy.
Okay, let's say he does manage to dollarize. How does that really impact ordinary Argentines? And in terms of jobs, firstly, and then, of course, cost of living and inflation.
Well, inflation is lower, as I said, uh, but the cost of living is very high because the local currency called we call the peso, Argentine peso, PESO, uh, is too high in relation to the dollar. So the dollar is too low here, and everything. If you come from wherever you are going to find that prices are a bit salty, and that's something that they have to tune very in a very delicate way. Why? Because the vicious circle here in the last century perhaps is that you devaluate peso against dollar, the US dollar, which is the landmark for us as a currency, and immediately you're going to have a transfer of that difference to the peso strife, to the prices in the street. So they have to do a fine tuning of the dollar in baby steps, in small steps, in order to have a US dollar at a reasonable level in comparison to the productivity of Argentina, to the real productivity of Argentina, and avoiding the transfer of those increasing dollars to the peso prices. Okay, I mean, I would say that I mean, you trade inflation anxiety for income rigidity,
Right.
and stability, yes, but prosperity still has to be earned.
Ricardo, let's talk about his domestic policies. And some of the things that have been really popular have, of course, been massive cuts in the government and not just in offices, but in schools, universities as well. But this election has shown that people have really supported these chainsaw policies big time. Can you give us an idea of what really could be next for him, for President Milei, in terms of domestic handling of the country?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think that when you are looking for prosperity, cutting costs. I mean, let's say that Milei uh, the situation that he inherited was really an economy burdened by inflation, uh, fiscal deficits, and institutional fatigue. And that's why he cut a lot of things. And I think that was amplified for, a bigger impact. You know that one thing is the perception of the reality, and another thing is the reality itself. When you need to create an impact, you say, "I'm going to cut everything," but he didn't. He didn't. It's been reasonable. You don't have a mass of people shouting, I was fired. No, at all. Not at all. Not at all. So I think they're doing well, but right now they have to do much better. I mean, they have to negotiate. They have to. I mean, the economic challenge. Reform Argentina is not something easy, because you have an inertia and historical inertia
Right.
of 100 years, more or less. So uh, he has to be bold in economy, but also in culture. That's very important. In economic transformation here, without social cohesion, will be unsustainable. So he has to deal with that. I think that Mauricio Macri, the former, not the former, but the before president, 2015, 2019, he is a worldwide well-known gentleman, and his party is being crucial in all this process. And of course, the help from the United States of America, which is historical, never happened before.
Right. I'm glad you brought up America, because that's the direction I was heading into next. Let's talk geopolitics. President Milei has called China an assassin state. He has also distanced Argentina from BRICS. Is he ditching global south and moving into the American and even the Israeli camp, because he is very pro-Israel?
I mean, there is a visible realignment. Argentina rejected BRICS entry in December 2023, tightened ties with the US, White House meeting, trade talks ongoing, and the American swap. I mean, the support, money support, and Israel embassy moved to Jerusalem in 2026. UN voting patterns. That said, China remains a key economic counterpart. Soy purchases, lithium, energy. So it's strategic diversification with the westward tilt, not a clean break. So geopolitically talking, we can lean west. Commercially, we still sell to everyone. It's alignment, not isolation.
I want to look at the region as a whole, and I think President Milei's win has kind of reaffirmed one thing, that South America is basically parting away from historical traditions, especially when it comes to politics. It's not just in Argentina where a side or a party that was ruling for years has basically is nowhere to be seen on the results, but it's happening in other countries as well. If you look at Bolivia, Rodrigo Paz has won, and Mas is nowhere to be seen. A movement that was in Bolivia for 20 years does not even make it to the final round. And this is a trend that is growing in South America. How do you think President Milei winning such a landslide margin in midterm is going to basically create a chain reaction into other countries as well? Because Chile is going into elections soon, and I'm sure the region is going to be tightly looking at how Argentina is going to impact what's happening.
Very good question, Rohan, because, I mean, till a certain extent, Argentina, I mean, has always been a landmark, a point of reference to see the rest of Latin America, with all the respect for Brazil, which is the most important power in the region,
Right.
and Mexico, which is the second most important power in the region. But your question is crucial because, as I said, I think that the world is watching Argentina as a laboratory of liberal experimentation in Latin America, not only in South America, in Latin America in general. And there is a regional cultural shift. And yes, Latin American cleavage now includes establishment versus anti-establishment. And I see that, and we all see that across the region, voters reward outsiders or hard reformers and punish legacy parties, security or unsecurity, corruption fatigue, stagnant real incomes drive the turn. And Argentina is part of that broader realignment, and where identity labels matter less than credibility, order, and results. So the new axis, I would say, is efficacy and integrity versus the old machine. And Argentina isn't the exception, all the opposite. I mean, it's the loudest chapter today.
Right. Ricardo, I totally agree with you that the world is looking at Argentina as a laboratory, but I think it's an experiment in reinvention. And on that note, Ricardo, thank you for sharing your insights, and thank you for joining us at Fair Observer and for giving your time.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoy being part of this initiative. By the way, I really I am really happy to see that media, Fair Observer, are there, and as your title defines you, Fair Observer. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.